Under the hood, Express starts with the same thing you would do manually in node.js, creating a server using the HTTP core module. When you write const app equals express, you are not creating a server yet. You are creating a function with a stack of rules. Later, when you call app listen, Express internally creates an HTTP server and passes this function as the request handler. You can imagine this like a queue of functions. Each middleware function has access to three important things: the request object, the response object, and a function called next. That next function is the key. It tells Express to move to the next middleware in the stack. So the flow looks like this. Request comes in. Express checks the first middleware. That middleware can do something like logging the request, checking authentication, parsing JSON data, or modifying the request. If it calls next, Express moves to the next middleware. If it does not call next and instead sends a response, the cycle stops there. No other middleware or route will run. This is why order of middleware matters so much in Express. For example, when you use app.use, you are adding a middleware at the top of the stack that reads the incoming request body and converts JSON into a JavaScript object. Without this middleware, req.body would be undefined. This happens before your route even sees the request. Similarly, you might have a custom middleware that checks if the user is logged in. If the user is not authenticated, that middleware can send a response like unauthorized and never call next. The request never reaches your route handler. After passing through global middlewares, Express starts matching the request with routes. It checks the HTTP method, like get or post, and the path, like /users or /products. Once it finds a matching route, that route itself can also have multiple middleware functions. Yes, routes can have their own mini middleware chain before the final response is sent. Inside the route handler, you usually send a response using res.send, res.json, or res.render. The moment this happens, Express ends the request-response cycle. No further middleware is executed after that unless you explicitly call next again for error handling. Error handling is another interesting part. If any middleware calls next, Express immediately skips all normal middlewares and jumps to special error handling middlewares, the ones that have 4 parameters: error, request, response, and next. This allows you to centralize error logic instead of writing try-catch blocks everywhere. For example, req.params, req.query, req.body, res.status, and res.json are not part of the native HTTP module. Express attaches these helpers so developers can write cleaner code without manually parsing URLs or setting headers. Also, Express uses something called a router internally. When you create Express router, you are basically creating a mini version of the app with its own middleware stack and routes. This helps in organizing large applications into modules like user routes, product routes, and auth routes. But in the end, all routers are attached back into the main middleware stack. So the full journey looks like this. Node HTTP server receives a request, passes it to Express. Express sends it through global middlewares, then route-specific middlewares, then the route handler, and finally a response is sent back. If at any point a middleware ends the response or throws an error, the flow changes accordingly. This design is what makes Express extremely flexible. You can plug in logging, authentication, validation, parsing, and error handling as independent pieces without mixing them into your main logic. That is why Express applications remain clean even as they grow large. Because at its core, Express is simply a beautifully organized chain of functions handling one request at a time in a very predictable flow.